Hey everyone! Well, it's finally time for the most requested guide of all time, and that is a complete guide to how to spend your Stellarite effectively as a free-to-play player in GoGo Muffin. So if you're sitting there wondering how you should be spending your Stellarite, maybe concerned you're going to be making mistakes and not approach things efficiently, then I would suggest you watch this guide all the way through because there's a lot of information to learn here. Number one, through how to get all the available Stellarite every day and every week, and as well what the best practices are when it comes to spending that Stellarite. And trust me, there is a lot to learn and a lot of content as well in looking at the Chinese version of the game, the Taiwanese version of the game, and seeing what else there is to come. So stick around and let's go through everything together. I want to also start by saying, of course, my perspective is that of a whale player, but I've combined forces once again with one of the most trusted members of our community in global, and that is Eroleice, who also gave us permission to use his best practices to spending guide in a video I made last week. So definitely check that guide out, and thanks again to Eroleice. I'll be posting one of his documents in the description down below that the two of us worked on, that is basically going to be a text version of everything we discussed today in the video. But I still recommend you watch the whole video through because there's a lot of stuff to learn here. So let's start off with an understanding of where all these sources of Stellarite come from. Now, starting off, we're going to look at one of the technically not repeating rewards, but is one that is consistent, and that is the rewards you get for pushing the main story journey quests. Now, there are obviously different stages in progression where you will unlock a different amount of stages per day, especially in the early stages of the game. You will unlock quite a lot more stages, but as we've kind of settled where we are in class change 1 and speaking to Eroleice about how things move forward, we've decided that a reasonable number to consider is around 6 stages per day. So we've factored in the 6 stages worth of Stellarite into the equation as one of your daily Stellarite gains, and this is something important to keep in mind. So this is a source of approximately 90 Stellarite per day. The next up, and this is something that a lot of people probably don't realize, but the mini events that we have, for example, we have now the Slime Rampage that's on, and we recently had last week the fishing event as well. GoGo Muffin has these mini events every single week with maybe one day in between when the events are on cooldown. Slime, for example, comes every other week. So this is a consistent source of Stellarite. When you open the Slime menu as well, you'll see here that one of the rewards you can get just from clearing T70, which is pretty achievable for almost all players, you will get 100 Stellarite every single day here. Additionally, there are other sources, for example the shared loot here. As players clear through all of the stages here, there is an additional 1,000 Stellarite up for grabs here. So if you consider all the available Stellarite from the shared loot and the daily rewards over the entire duration of the event, the shared loot is 1,000 Stellarite divided by 14 days, because the event is on for 1 week and off for another week, so we consider it by 14 days. It works out to around 71 Stellarite per day, and while the mini games are active, you get 100 Stellarite per day as well. So the next up is also in the journal, your dailies. Now, if you click on each of these chests, you actually see all the rewards you get, and part of these rewards is in fact another 100 Stellarite. So completing all your dailies will get you 100 Stellarite here. And as well, if you go to your weekly journal, you will see that in the weekly you're able to get another 300 Stellarite. So this adds up as well. And then we move to the next source of Stellarite, which is something that a lot of people probably haven't been doing, and I recommend it. If you go here to the Rift Shop and go to the Rift Supply Shop, you will see here there are 5 available 200 Stellarite packs you can buy for 40 of these Rift coupons, Rift Supply coupons each, and this is reset weekly. So that's another 1,000 Stellarite per week. Very important that you get these, and it works out, if you divide it by 7, to around another 142 Stellarite per day. The next place you'll get Stellarite is in the pack shop. You get the daily 50 Stellarite per day here. Very important you remember to claim that. And then finally, the last source of Stellarite is actually in the guild. If you go to guild and you go to guild quest, you will see you have a weekly guild quest that once you reach 500 guild points, you will get 50, 100, 150, 200, and another 300 Stellarite here per week, which is all adding up. So when you calculate all these sources, it works out to exactly, well, not exactly, but around 696 per day. I say around because, like I said, there's going to be some days where you might clear more stages, for example, and you're going to get additional rewards here from the main story clearing, and so on and so forth. Now, I will go on and say that there are 2 additional paid sources of Stellarite that even for a very low spender or someone who's free to play and can afford to spend a few bucks on the game and are looking to push a little harder, I very much strongly recommend that you consider getting the monthly pass. It is US dollars $4.99 or equivalent currency, and this gets you an additional 3,300 Stellarite per month, which adds up a lot. It's equivalent to 110 Stellarite per day. This is very, very worth it, and this allows you to definitely push a bit harder on progression as a very light spender with just getting the monthly pass. And if you want to add one more to this, you could get also the Astro companion, which when you add up not only all of these additional rewards on the paid version of the season pass, you also get an additional 1080 Stellarite here. This and both the monthly pass and the Astro companion last for 30 days. So that altogether will increase your daily Stellarite gains from 696 to about 842 Stellarite per day, which does allow you to do more stuff. So now that we've established, oh, I have to mention something important because this is quite interesting. We will at a certain point, and I don't know exactly when it will unlock for us on global, but it is already available on the foreign versions of the game. There is an event called the Dragon Lake Treasure event, and it is a 54-day event that has a bit of RNG involved, but the average Stellarite gain in a 54-day period is around 12,000, even for a free-to-play player. You heard me right, 12,000 Stellarite, which works out to around an additional 223 Stellarite per day. So when that event comes, the Stellarite available for free-to-play players is going to go up tremendously, and if you have even better RNG than the average, you may find yourself with a big surplus of Stellarite. So with all of that said, let's start going through all of the things that you will be spending Stellarite on and what the priorities are when it comes to those things. Now, I will say, by the way, that we have done these calculations with the minimum. So if you have good RNG or there's additional event rewards, you will find yourself potentially with additional Stellarite. But these calculations have been done with what the base minimum Stellarite gains are. So there are a few things that you need to do every single day. The most important priority above all else is actually purchasing additional summons, and so it's purchasing additional runes, mount summons, artifact energy, and once we unlock it near the start of class change 2, cat buns. So at the moment, you know, we don't have cat buns unlocked, so your daily expenditure as a free-to-play player will be slightly less because we don't have the cat buns unlocked, which will cost additional Stellarite. So if I go here, you can click here and you can see all these other things. So once we unlock cat buns, this will be an additional source. So what is the best practice when it comes to a free-to-play player to purchase these additional systems? And by far, the most important thing you should be doing with your Stellarite. And the answer to that is 3 each. So 3 purchases of runes, 3 purchases of energy, 3 purchases of mount tickets or exploration tickets, and 3 purchases of these cat fruitwoods. That is the most optimal quantity as a free-to-play player to purchase. And when you do those 3, it adds up to around 160 Stellarite for the energy, 100 for the runes, 110 for the mount tickets, and 160 for the cat fruitwood with from the cat bun system. So that is around 710 Stellarite per day. And you may be concerned already because you say, wait, you're getting around 696 Stellarite per day and now you're telling telling me to spend 710 Stellarite per day. That's a negative balance at the end. And the answer is yes. And you will actually have this offset of spending more Stellarite than you make per day. And that's just something you have to, through all of your additional Stellarite sources that are more limited, get additional Stellarite essentially to support this purchase of these daily resources. So that is the most important above all else. And as to why it's 3 and not 2 and not 4, the main reason is because every time you purchase, let's just look at energy for example. Let's talk about energy for example. As you purchase additional energy, the cost goes up. So for the first purchase of energy, it's 30 Stellarite, then it's 50 Stellarite, and then it's 80 Stellarite. And that is the yeah, no, that's correct. Yeah, no, so that's the rate it goes up. And when you go, for example, for the 15th purchase, it's going to be 300 Stellarite. So you're effectively buying the 3x at a 90% discount from the rest of the higher level purchases of these systems. So when you get to 15 purchases per day, you're spending a lot, like a lot of Stellarite, almost 2,800. So for the 160 it costs to get the first 3 purchases, it is a huge efficiency compared to someone who's just spamming all of them. So that's why we say purchase 3 times all of those systems. That is the most efficient thing to do. Now the next thing after that that you should be doing is purchasing in the shop these super growth snacks, because as you progress your Melomons, these will become harder and harder to obtain and are important to keep buying. Now the promotion stones are actually not necessary as a daily purchase. The reason is because you can acquire these from the main story pushing here. You can see every other stage you clear gives you Black Ash promotion stone. So generally speaking, you don't want to actually buy these every single day, but if you do find yourself stuck and needing more for promoting your gear, then it's worth considering this when you need it on an as needed basis. Now when it comes to EXP boosters, again, it's not required to buy all 3 every single day, depending on your stage and progression. Maybe if you're in a certain stage where you know by popping an EXP booster you're going to unlock a system earlier, or you know you're going to hit a cap at a sooner point, then it might be worth considering. If you just buy 1 a day, then that's enough to stockpile them until you think you need to use them. But if you wanted to buy 3 a day, in theory you could have additional sources of Stellarite, the more limited versions, more limited sources of Stellarite that would allow you to purchase 3 a day, but as a minimum try to purchase 1 EXP booster a day. And when it comes to the 50% off gold chest, again, probably avoid that as a free-to-play player. And if you are absolutely desperate for gold to get 1 upgrade to allow you to clear a boss, for example, then it would be fine to buy these discounted gold chests. But again, this is very limited, and I would not necessarily buy these every single day as a priority by all means. Do, however, make sure to get the free one every single day, which is here. The reason as well is because keep in mind that the gold chest scales as you progress through the main story. So at this stage of progression, the Volcano gold chest, I believe it gives just over 200,000 gold per chest. But then by the time we get to Class Change 3, which is around where the foreign versions of the games are, this chest gives already 500,000 gold per chest. So these gold chests start off being not very worth it, and as you progress through the game, get progressively better and better. So that's something to keep in mind in the early stages, especially. It's probably not worth you purchasing those discounted gold chests. So let's move on to the next important thing, and this is something now, to be honest with you, if you are a free-to-play player who has also gone the step further to purchase the monthly pass and the season pass premium, then you should also factor in doing all 3 of your stamina purchases per day. Very important. But if you're a completely free-to-play player who hasn't gotten the monthly pass and hasn't gotten the premium season pass, then probably this is not worth it, because all this is really letting you do is tier up your gear faster. So this is not necessary if you're a fully free-to-play player, but if you do find yourself as someone who has also bought the monthly pass and the premium premium season pass, then do this every single day. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, one little tip I'll give you when talking about rifts that some people don't know is when you have finally reached the maximum tier of gear here and you get additional crystals for gear that you have maxed, if you find that crystal in your item inventory and click it, you can dismantle it and get a full cost. You can get the full cost of buying this in Rift supply coupons back. So if you have full T15 on all your legendaries at Icicle and you get a whole bunch of these crystals, you can actually dismantle them and get a whole bunch of Rift supply coupons, which then you can go into the Rift shop here and actually then buy all your Stellarite, more crystals, Icicle gear, etc., more gold if you need it, these promotions, no star XP. So that's a very important thing to note. Once you reach the point that you have fully tiered up your gear, you can start selling those crystals for Rift supply coupons. Very, very good source of those, and will allow you to get a lot of additional rewards. Now, let's see, where do we go next? So those are the main things that you would be spending your Stellarite on. So I'm just double checking. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything. So just as a recap, because we have gone through quite a lot of stuff throughout this video, I'm going to recap quickly. So the most important thing by far, oh no, yeah, we do have to transition to something, I apologize. The most important thing by far is spending 3,333, your Stellarite on 3,333 of the priority number 1 runes, number 2 artifact energy, number 3 mount tickets, and number 4 the cat fruitwoods for the cat bun system once we unlock that. So then the question is, okay, well, what happens if I have bonus Stellarite and I have my Stellarite stockpiles going up? What do I do with my Stellarite? Do I save it? Do I spam it? What do I do? And this is very important, and here's what you have to do. You have 2 priorities when it comes to your excess Stellarite outside of spending it on your daily resource grind. Number 1, saving your Stellarite for additional Melamon summons when the Wishlist event is active. Now, the Wishlist event allows you to get a 50% increased chance to get a legendary Melamon of your choice when a legendary comes in your summons. Very important, especially to get copies of, you know, the best Melamon out there, because they have a drastic impact on your character's abilities. So this event is actually on a timer based on all servers. So it's not on a server by server time basis, and it comes at roughly every 6 weeks, give or take, with some exceptions. So it's something to keep in mind. There are going to be some cases where unfortunately the wishlist event is not going to line up with a really good paper plane week. So sometimes you're going to have to just bite the bullet and spend your stocked up Stellarite and summoning strings on a Melamon wishlist that doesn't line up with a good paper plane week. So priority number 1 is summoning Melamon. Your Stellarites that you have stockpiled up, summoning Melamon during the wishlist event until you get all 3 wishlist copies. The second priority after that is saving up your Stellarite and all the other resources you have for that matter for the best weeks in the paper plane event. So if you want to get more information about the paper plane weeks, which are the best, then go back and look at my video. I have a video on the paper plane system, and I have in my best spending practices as well. I speak in that video about the best paper plane weeks to aim for. So that's what you should go back and look and make sure that you're stockpiling not only for the wish list, but also for the best the best paper plane weeks, which can give artifacts and other amazing rewards. So it's very important because I feel like people sometimes might stockpile like 10 or 15,000 Stellarite after playing for a while and say, oh goody, I'm going to just blast this all away. And then wishlist comes, and then a really great paper plane week comes, and you're sitting there like, oh man, I should have saved that. So be very careful. Do not just blast away all of your Stellarite on Melamon summons, on skill summons, on whatever else outside of weeks that either have the wishlist event for Melamon or a really good paper plane week where you want the T5 rewards. So that's a wrap. That is a lot of information, and all of this information, like I said, I will include in a link in the description down below, a document that has been made by myself and Eroleice. Eroleice has done all the prettying up on it, so take a look at that as well as a supplement to the information in this video so that you get a visual representation of the best practices for spending your Stellarite in the game. So hopefully this is clear. Hopefully you understand a lot better now how to spend your Stellarite in the game and how to effectively maximize your progression throughout the game, even as a free-to-play player. So if you have any further questions at all, please leave it in the description down below. Sorry, please leave it in the comments down below. Like the video if you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when the next video is uploaded. And join the Discord if you haven't already. I look forward to seeing you all there. So that's a wrap for me. Thanks for watching, everyone. And I'll see you in the next video. And thanks again to Eroleice for your help in putting this guide together. Take care, everyone. Bye.